Hey, this is Dr. Clark Cavan. I want to talk to you today about assessment versus test, and then we'll take a look at assessing our assessments. Although these two terms are often used interchangeably, there are differences between test and assessment. A test is used to determine what a person knows or has learned, like a spelling test or the STAR test, the driving test, or the TEKSAS test that you'll take to get your teaching certificate. Assessment, on the other hand, is a systematic process observing and documenting to determine the knowledge, skills, attitudes, beliefs, or behaviors. A test gives a score usually based on performance, either compared to a norming sample, that's a norm reference test, or measured against a specific criteria. It's a criteria reference test. Assessment, on the other hand, requires interpretation to determine if instruction needs to be repeated or modified, or if the students have grasped the concept and are ready to move on. As you're teaching, you're constantly assessing student progress toward mastery of the concept. In fact, in assessing your mastery of tests and assessments, I interpreted that there is some confusion, and I decided to do a little teaching on that subject. As a teacher, you will make those same types of determinations. So, let's look at a decision tree for assessments. So, you've taught information. Hopefully, you're using evidence-based, effective teaching strategies. The students are completing the assignments that are teaching those concepts. The teacher is informally assessing the mastery and asking, did all the students master this concept? Well, if the answer is yes, congratulations. You have taught that concept well. It's time to move on. However, if not all students have mastered, then we need to move on down the decision tree. So we're going to ask ourselves, how many did not master this? Well, if many of our students didn't master it, only the brightest seem to have caught on, then we probably need to reteach that concept. Certainly, you'd want to use different strategies and constantly assess the progress toward mastery. Why would you want to use different strategies? Well, they didn't get it the first time, so you need to try something different. If most mastered it and only a few did not, we need to start asking questions about those individuals and why they did not get it. One of the first questions you want to ask is, was this student present the day that the concept was introduced? Many times students don't get the instruction because they're not there. If the student has been absent, then you need to figure out a way to get them the information they need. That may be staying after school, spending some time at lunch, all sorts of different creative ways to get them the information that they need. Next, are there physical issues, like a vision or hearing problem? Maybe the student just needs to sit closer to the front of the room, closer to the board, closer to the teacher. Is there a language barrier that may be interfering with the understanding? Does the child have limited English proficiency? Was the student supposed to understand the concept simply by reading? If so, how is the student's reading? Do you know? Think about their word calling, their fluency, and their comprehension. Many students can call words well, and some even read fluently, but they're not comprehending what they're reading. And lastly, is there a special education need here that is not being modified for or accommodated for that needs to be taken care of? So after you've used your formative assessment to come up with questions and interpret what the problem may be for those few learners that didn't get it, then come up with an individual plan for each of the students so that they can master the concept as well. Consider what flexibility you might have to be able to work with the students in a small group or individually. Think about what resources the school might have, like a content mastery center or a floating teacher or a success lab, where the student can get the extra help that he or she needs. If there may be a problem with vision or hearing, talk to the nurse. Make sure that the child has been tested in those areas and that there are no issues. Finally, if the problem is absences, get with your attendance clerk and your assistant principal. Find out if there's a pattern of absences. Let's get this kid in school so he can learn what he needs to learn. I hope this has been helpful for you. Remember that a test is a form of assessment, but not all assessments are tests. Hope this helps. Let me know if I can do more. Thanks.